Hi guys, Ryan Bailey here for episode number 7 of the Ball Talk podcast. This week I was joined by strength coach Shane Rice from Monaghan, also known as Rice Lifestyle. I had a good chat with Shane, about 40 minutes long or so. I hope you enjoy it. Before we get into things, I'd like to give a shout out to Alan Dunn of Adapt Athletic Performance and Therapy, who is today's sponsor of the podcast and has continuously sponsored the podcast over the last couple of weeks. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the Adapt logo throughout the podcast in the bottom corner. But if you're on Spotify, head over to Instagram, give them a follow. Adapt_Sligo is the username. Please like, share and subscribe for more, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Oh, we're good to go. So this is Ball Talk episode number 7. Here with Shane Rice. Shane, before we go any further, I can introduce you, but I'll let you introduce yourself on this one.
Thanks, Ryan. Pleasure being on. So my name's Shane. I'm a strength coach. I did a lot of time in Toronto. That's basically where I gained all my experience. I came home in February with the goal of setting up my own business. That went ahead. I also had a goal of playing plenty of football. That has obviously took a setback. I started this journey, I think it was 2016. It's been a long couple of years. It all started off with something small on Snapchat, and then here I am now. I run a full-time online business with coaching over 100 clients, and it's working very well. I want to expand it as much as I can, gain more knowledge, and then play as much football as I can as well when I'm young. So enjoying being home. Obviously, the situation with COVID-19 has had been a bit of an effect, but we got to be positive,
100%. You're a Monaghan man, Shane?
I am, yeah. I'm originally from Scotstown, so Scotstown just about 20 minutes out of Monaghan town, so towards the north of Monaghan.
Good stuff. So we'll talk about Canada. Just as you mentioned it there, you learned to progress your trade in Canada. Talk to me about your time over there. How long were you over there for?
So I left Ireland with the intention of pursuing some sort of fitness career. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to get into. I know I wanted to go down the line of being a strength conditioning coach. So I knew there was a company called Good Life Fitness. They're in the top 5 in the world brands of gyms. I think ahead of them is Gold's Gym and LA Fitness, a couple of big companies like that. They've got 400 gyms in Canada. And I knew that would be a good place to start. It was a tough interview process. So I went to them in 2017, the summer of 2017, and I got through. And I was lucky enough that the actual gym of Good Life Fitness that I was in was one of the top 5 or 6 out of all of Canada. So it wasn't just like any of the gyms. It was a Good Life gym right downtown in the middle of the city. And yeah, it was a pretty intense. I remember I would have to get up it was my choice to get up at 4 a.m., but that is what suited my schedule. So it was pretty intense. A couple of years working as a personal trainer there, working with general population and even some athletes in ice hockey and stuff. But it was fantastic. Loved it.
You're saying there about the ice hockey. Did you work with many teams, or was it that personal one-on-one level you were working on?
So ice hockey over there, they would have the off season, and there is about a month over there where they don't work with their strength and conditioning coach within, for example, the Maple Leafs. And they would come into our gym because one of our gyms was the top gyms downtown, and I was able to work with them. Now, I wasn't able to provide them with extra knowledge than what their strength and conditioning coach would already provide them because, ice hockey is one of the top sports in the world. So it was just great to work out with them and put them through the paces time now and again just for a couple of weeks. But I didn't work with any top guys for a long period because most of them had their own coaches,
Yeah. And with the hockey guys, like what's their attitude towards it? Because obviously they're professional sports people, and when you're working with amateurs over here now, mainly amateurs, I'd assume, through football and that. And even though Gaelic footballers are amateurs, it's taken so serious. The strength and condition, as you said, all that sort of work is taken so serious. What's it like with the hockey guys? Is it the same standard as the GA guys in terms of training and that, or is it a bit more laid back? What's the story?
So when you're talking about different sports, I mean, ice hockey, a lot of the physical demands that GAA players are going to have in the gym are going to be pretty similar to ice hockey, whether it's basketball, American footballers. I mean, CFL is big in Canada. Obviously, it's the NFL, except it's CFL, Canadian Football League. So, I mean, a lot of the demands for the players in the gym is very similar to the GAA. This is kind of the term that I get across, that the term athletes through, and it was quite similar what the ice hockey guys were doing. I walked in, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name. He's Maple Leafs player, and he's not playing for the Maple Leafs now, but he was known as an enforcer. He was a hard man, and every ice hockey team would have an enforcer, and he was in the gym doing single leg squats, just exactly how I would have thought these athletes would be training. So he was doing Bulgarian split squats. He had the barbell on his back. And another story as well, just that we're going through, rambling on regarding split squats and single leg stuff. A couple of years ago, I did a workout with Aaron Kernan in Crossmaglen. And when we started the workout, first thing, split squats, single leg squat. So there was obviously a huge carryover between professional Gaelic players, which I would count Gaelic county boys as basically semi-pro or even pro. And it was interesting to see county lads doing the same kind of workout style as the professional athletes in ice hockey over in Toronto. So there's not a huge difference in what kind of exercise they're doing, but the only main difference is the sport themselves,
The sport itself, yeah. And your overall experience in Canada, like that must have been, it must have been a class experience.
It was fantastic.
So just the experience itself, like me personally, I was looking to go on a J1 next year. And I know a lot of guys that were supposed to go this year as well, and due to the circumstances they can't. Would you say for people aged 20 to 22, 23, it's a must that you have to go and travel?
So I left in 2017. I was 23. Very easy to get a 2-year visa for Canada. I know it's very difficult for America to get a visa. So I went through the process, and I saved a good bit of money before going out. That would be my number one recommendation. Don't go out there with the bare minimum, because you're chasing. A lot of things happen in the first month or two. You want to enjoy it. You want to be able to sightsee and stuff. Is it a must? I mean, it's not a must. I mean, a lot of people have stayed at Ireland and focused on their career and are very happy, but I would recommend it definitely to see the world as much as you can. Live with people of different nationalities, live in different cultures. Huge culture change living in Toronto. Toronto is a huge health-focused city. So many different nationalities within it, different cultures, different religions, different sports. I loved it, and I mean, I would do it all again. But I would recommend it highly, that everybody, player or not a player, would see New York or Boston or Toronto, even Vancouver. I haven't been to Vancouver. I've heard nice things. So I would recommend it.
Highly recommend, yeah. Like, there's a lot of guys that go out and they go out and they play football for the summer or something. And it's like living the dream. You're going out, you're playing football. Some fellas get a few pounds to play as well and stuff like that. What was the differences you found playing with St. Mike's over there and playing football at home here?
First of all, I mean, the weather in the summer is absolutely mental. The scorching heat, that was a huge difference. And obviously, in Scotstown, you're playing with boys that you played with since you were 10 years of age, so you're used to them. You're used to the way they play. You're used to their accent, used to everything that they do. Whereas when you're going over there, I was playing with lads from Cork, Dublin, Laois, Kildare, won championships with those lads over there, and Canadians as well. There's some Canadian-born players over there that would definitely push it hard for most club teams over here. I'll tell you a little story as well, actually. I went over in Toronto, St. Mike's, and one of the first lads that I met, his name was Horse. And I was thinking, all right, his name's Paul and he is nicknamed Horse. Why is he called Horse? Well, the first training session we done was a tough fitness session, and I found out very quickly why his name was Horse. So what happened is that he is in his 30s now, and roughly about 10 years ago, he's fully Canadian, he's born in Canada, he just decided to take up Gaelic football.
Yeah.
And usually, if you're from Ireland, you would think that the Canadians wouldn't be that great at football. But this guy was playing with St. Mike's since he was a young age, and a load of Cork lads came over from Castlehaven, and they came to St. Mike's and they played football with this guy called Horse, and they invited Horse to fly back with them to come to Cork to transfer. So this guy, Horse, transferred from Toronto, St. Mike's, to Cork, and he won Munster Championships and he won county championships at centre half back and wing half back for Castlehaven. And I think the fact he went back to Toronto after a year or a couple of years, he would have been playing county for Cork. So that just shows the level of some of the Canadians that play over there. They're hard as nails because they come from an ice hockey background, and they mightn't have the best skill set like some of us do, because we had so much great opportunities growing up to play Gaelic football. But these guys over in Canada are hard as nails, and that's just one of the stories about one of the players going to Cork and playing at the top level. And
that's wild.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. You never really hear of that. I think it was back in the 90s, it would have been the early 2000s.
And like it just some fellas just have the knack for it. You know, they'll just pick it up straight away. Like there's lads that that'll be from my club now. They moved home from America. Now their parents are Irish, but they moved home from America when they're maybe 13 or 14, and straight away, like they were able to pick up size 5 O'Neills like it was nothing. Playing soccer over in America, kicking 45s in their bare feet, like they're sort of bucks. Some guys just do out the knack.
I know, it's just, you can be surprised how many great Gaelic footballers can come through different countries.
100%, yeah. Let's see now. So I think I'll be right in saying this in terms of social media. You've done well through Instagram, getting your name out there, and you've got the Rice Lifestyle page, you've got the Get Over page as well, and is it GA periodization? That's your third page then.
Yeah. So I have my personal page that started with a Snapchat, just a random Snapchat in 2016. I goes, you know what? I'm going to document what I'm eating. I'm going to document what I'm training. And I mean, I didn't really have that much knowledge back then, but I was young and there was nobody else in the GA doing it. I think it was myself and Brian Keane doing it. And at that time, I was actually watching the likes of Rob Lipsett, who I know well now, and other YouTubers from Europe, and I was kind of copying their stuff through Snapchat. And then I kind of got more into the GA niche because I played the sport, and then it started to grow from there. And I did YouTube well before anybody in the GA did YouTube. I done it in 2016, 2017. I don't do it anymore because it's too much of a hassle and the reward isn't worth it. So that's where the Instagram came from. The Get Over page is something where I was heading to training one day in Toronto, and I was with a friend, Eddie from Meath, and he came up with this idea. I handed it to him. He said, why don't you post a score of a player from every club in a county? So I started with Tyrone, and it blew out of the water. I mean, people were sending in Get Over scores, and Tyrone, them boys would be competing against each other. They'd be like that. And it was a perfect county to start off with. So I wiped Tyrone out of it. I did a great score from every club. And then I went on to Galway, did Cork. And then I got to a stage where, okay, I can't handle this amount of traffic. So then I started a new page. And now I do try to post as many as I can, but there's that many. It's just ridiculous. And that's that page. And the GA periodization is just basically my business page, where if my clients need any videos or anything, I can just post it on that. So I like to keep my own personal page personal. I don't want to bombard all 3 pages on one,
Like it's funny to say how the Get Over page was kind of, as you said, it was just on the way to training, and you just came up with the idea. Like I know a lot of lads that I know, and they were saying, geez, you see that score on Instagram? I was on it myself.
Oh, you post one in?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, there's that many. I wouldn't even remember.
Early enough now, I'd say it must be. It's probably 3 years ago, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of saying, there was books there like they were trying to get on the page and stuff, and some different clubs from around and that.
It's something so simple because
exactly, yeah.
The way I was thinking about it, I mean, some people might think I'm arrogant or I'm a cocky wee prick or something, but if I scored a point in a match and have a video of it, I'm going to post it. I think it should be encouraged that people have the confidence to even post their score online. I mean, what's the issue there? Like, I mean, it's a great score. Post it. Who cares? And I used to post my scores from like the 2017 championship, whatever, in Toronto. I mean, if I score a point now, I'm going to post it. So that's what I was trying to promote. Lads, send me their stuff and let me post it if they feel as if they don't want to post it themselves. So that's
get confidence, like.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in posting your score. I mean, that's why I started to get over page as well, because I wanted people to showcase their scores.
That's good, yeah. And it's actually it just came into my head now on the topic of confidence. I watched Alan Cawley from Sligo. Excuse me. He's with RTE. He's with RTE Sport, and he did an interview for EJ Minzer in Sligo with Ian Madigan, the rugby player, the other day, and they spoke about criticism, player criticism, constructive criticism. Like what's I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it. What's your take on it? Because personally, I know that, like, from hearing Madigan speak, he was saying how when he was out in France, or in comparison to when he was playing with Leinster, he said, there could be slaps thrown in training at Leinster, you get on with it the next day, no problem at all. Whereas there was a game he played in France, I think it was Bordeaux he was with, I'm not sure, but he played the game in France and something went wrong in the field. He fucked the head of a lad, basically, and he was made apologise to the whole team after it. So I suppose that's different cultures. But what's your take on the whole criticism? Do you think it's gone a bit soft?
I just think we live in 2020, and we have got a lot softer, obviously, over the years. I just think that's just the way things are right now. You kind of have to watch what you say, watch what you do. That's purely down to social media, to be honest. One of the most dangerous places to be is Twitter. The criticism on Twitter is scandalous, a lot worse than everywhere else. So I think if you're at his level, and you got to roll with the punches and know what you're dealing with. So that's just part of life right now. And it is a shame, but it's just the way things are. And it's just the way we got to kind of adapt to it. I mean, if Roy Keane was playing now, for example, he wouldn't get away with anything now than what he did back then, or other lads. So it's just 2020. That's just the way it is. There's no point fighting it too much, I don't think, but that's just the way it is. I mean, Ian Madigan, for example, should have probably known better that you can't do that in France.
And then different culture.
Yeah, different culture, and maybe he should have been warned beforehand that it's not the same as home. So.
Sorry, no, I'm coughing like mad here. Okay, so when you're working, whether it's one-on-one with clients or, as you said, you're working with teams now over here. Talk to me about, like, I know there's fellas like this in every county, all the ability in the world. They just, they can kick a ball left foot, right foot, no problem at all. Build is there and everything, but they just don't do the gym work.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've worked with teams now that there's one of them in the team. What's your attitude towards that person? Do you keep trying to push them, or is it you're like, do you know what, do what you want to do, I'm doing my best?
So as a coach, you have to deal with different personalities and different types of players. You're always going to have the lads that are 100% focused and, put everything in towards the gym. And then you're going to have lads who are the total opposite. That's just part of coaching. What I do with those lads is you can try and change the structure of the training just to get them interested and get them involved. Most lads nowadays should understand the need or the performance enhancer that strength training provides you. I mean, if it wasn't a thing, then I wouldn't have a job. It wouldn't exist. So players who might turn their nose up at doing gym work, they probably have there's probably deeper things there that you would try and fix. So you would try and fix why, you try to talk to them, try and get them to understand that strength training reduces the risk of injury. It's going to get you to be faster, more powerful. Provide them with examples of other players that have went through blocks of gaining weight, putting on muscle, improving their performance. That's usually what I do. At the end of the day, look at if the player is able to perform top quality performances week in, week out, then you're going to let them. They're going to have a little bit of leeway. So that would be a difference between me being the strength coach or the manager. The manager would probably have to just say, look, he's putting in these performances week in, week out. Let him have a little bit of leeway. There's maybe 10, 12 other lads that aren't playing as well, are injured more often, body composition's not there, a bit of fitness to do, then you would work on those lads. So you might only get one or two players like that every 5 teams,
Yeah.
You think back there, for example, the Thierry Henry's, these guys never lifted a weight in their life because they didn't have to. I mean, they were so naturally gifted players that if they all had strength and conditioning coaches, but I guarantee the strength and conditioning coach didn't push Thierry Henry to lift weights if he didn't want to because of the performances. And you could say the same about Big Gaelic. I mean, at the top level, inter-county level, they're all lifting weights. There's nobody that I can name right now that is too good to be doing strength work. Even if you think of Colin Cooper, for example, he was never naturally big, but I totally guarantee you he was doing strength conditioning work. He was doing a lot of reduction of injury risk. He was doing loads of stuff. There's nobody at the top level doing nothing.
Yeah. I just looking here, I sent out, as I told you last night, sent out a sticker question there on Instagram.
Yeah.
And a few people sent in a few questions, and thanks to everyone for sending in the questions too. And one of them was something actually that I spoke to Brendan Maher about last week. It was regarding drinking bans. Now, Brendan's take on it was from a player's perspective. And let's say from yourself now as a coach, well, like as a player and as a coach, what's your take on them? Because I know you're trying to get guys to, like, you're not the dietitian, but you're still trying to get them on the right track and keeping their diet in touch with the work that you're putting them in the gym. Like, what's your take on drinking bans and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, I was no saint. I was no angel. I broke many a drinks ban, and I definitely paid the price for it. So start with a strength, like being a coach, I would obviously say that the science behind drinking alcohol has an effect in performance. That's a no-brainer. That's a fact. So, I mean, if you're going to drink a day or two before a match, you're going to suffer the consequences of not being able to perform to the best of your ability. That's a fact. That there's no going away around it. Yeah, sure, some lads in the past might have drank the night before and played fine the next day, but I guarantee that they would have played even better and felt better during the game if they didn't drink. Now, like I said, I was no saint as a player, and I wouldn't drink before a game now because I'm a little bit more mature. But when I was younger, obviously, things can go a bit sideways. But as a strength coach and as coaching clients who play GAA, you don't drink close to a match or a tough training session or a training session because it's going to have an effect on your performance. And the thing about GAA as well, it's a team game.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, if you're going to jeopardize the team by boozing a couple of days before the game, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences. And that's just it. Now, you got to think, that's from a strength coach, that's from a coach who works with clients. But because I also managed my Scotstown senior ladies team. So as I got to have two mentalities when I'm training them, I got to think I'm a coach, I'm a manager of a team, which is different as a strength and conditioning coach. So when you're thinking, I don't think there should be drinks bans. Now, that's not necessarily saying that people should drink before games. I'm just saying that we shouldn't have a black and white where lads should not be drinking at a certain time. If you have to tell lads that they shouldn't be drinking before a championship match, well, then they don't deserve to win the championship match. So I remember the Cross McGlen documentary. Ush McConville, who I'm good friends with, was saying in the video that they have, I think, 9 days, 10 days. I mean, that's just a given anyway. But I liked the way it was a short time compared to these ridiculous weeks and months of lads being told not to drink. Now, that's the player side of it, player coach. But then if you go back to the strength coach side of things, if I'm a strength and conditioning coach of Monaghan team, leading up to first round of Ulster, these guys are going to have to hitting certain numbers in their fitness tests, hitting certain numbers in the gym, and periodization, peaking them towards that championship match. If they're not hitting those standards, well, then you would say, like, look at your food, look at your alcohol consumption. Are you drinking too much? And then you can be able to change drinking around that. But again, I'm rambling on, but drinks bans shouldn't exist because you shouldn't have to put them in place.
Yeah, and that's actually, Brendan Maher said that as well. Like, lads are old enough to know whether, don't, as you said with Ushie McConville, 9 or 10 days out compared to 2 or 3 days beforehand. We should know at this age when is the right time. In terms of food, then, you touched on food for a small bit there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of emphasis put on alcohol. Should there be as much emphasis put on food?
Yeah, I mean, food, anybody that has focused, if they were living a moderate, usual diet, you have your cornflakes in the morning and typical diet. Anybody that's changed from that kind of diet to trying to focus on performance, they will tell you the huge difference. At the end of the day, what you put in your body is going to have a huge output effect on your performance. If that wasn't the case, then dietitians or nutritionists, strength and conditioning coaches wouldn't exist. So yeah, food's hugely important along with other things like sleep and hydration and whatnot, but food's massive in terms of performance.
Yeah, and like diet structure then as well. Like, would you say 3 square meals a day, or would you say bits of snacking and stuff like that as well? Or
so when it comes to food, every single person is totally different. We're not all built from the same cloth, and at different times of the year, you should be eating different ways. So we try to keep nutrition as simple as possible, because if you get too deep into it and too scientific, well, then people would probably just get sick of it, and it's not sustainable. So a couple of things: it depends on the person, depends on genetics, depends on the time of the year. Meal timing is important. Nutrition is such a complex, huge overall block of topics, but we do try to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, it really depends. It's hard to give you a black and white answer when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah, and I'm hoping now the next few weeks to get on a few different nutritionists. Ideally, do them face to face, because yourself with these podcasts, it just when you're face to face talking to someone, it rolls off the tongue. You know what I mean? And like, it's not like there's an awkwardness doing it over Zoom, but it's just not the same. So hopefully now I'll get a few nutritionists and that on in the next few weeks. I was looking at one of your pages, the GA periodization page there today, and you've got a lot of sort of before and after pictures of clients. And I know that can be both daunting when you see people struggling, and like the reward at the end can be great. I know everyone that is rewarded by it, it's a great story, but is there anyone that you've worked with, without naming names, anyone you've worked with that you've gone, Jesus, they have really put the work in here?
Yeah, I mean, well, just the top transformation I ever did, and I'll tell you a little story about him. I'm not going to name any names, I'm sure you'll understand. It's a great story. There is this guy, and he is Irish, and he came looking for help in Toronto, and we sat down. I had a consultation with him for an hour. I gave him an hour free session. I got to know him a little bit better. And he was living in Toronto. He just moved over around the same time I did, but he had a he had a bad accident just before, a couple of years before, and he was in hospital for a long time, and he was very sick, and it got very serious, and he came looking for help because he had gained a tremendous amount of weight from the time he was ill. So he was sitting in around, could be 260, 270 pounds. So what we did was we took a year block of training, and at the end of it, he lost all the weight. He dropped down to about 120 pounds. He lost 120 pounds, and he was nominated for the best transformation of 2018 in all of Canada, and we won it. So we won that. So that's a big thing to have on my CV, and it's also amazing for him because now he's able to live a sustainable, healthier life coming from a dark place, you know. So that's number one. That's one person that has changed his life, and he won a lot of money for the transformation as well, the challenge, which was great. And yeah, that's the first person I thought of. Now there's been other great success stories. I've been working with people online since 2016. I still have some of those clients with me. So yeah, I mean, a lot of some of them don't get to where they want to be, but they learn a lot, and they're able to take that with them, and they're able to make small changes over the course of their life, which is also a bonus for themselves, which is always, you know, very important. So he was just the first person that I thought of.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's, when you said you had that hour session with him at the start, you got to know him. Is it easier to work with somebody that you can do face to face with rather than online, as you said?
Yeah, good question. I do feel I can probably get more out of people if I am working with them on the floor, one-to-one, when I see them face to face, purely because I can hold them more accountable. And not the training's pretty much the same if it's online or on the floor. I mean, they have to focus on form. They have to send me their form videos, everything like that. But when you are meeting someone face to face, it's really easy and easier to keep them accountable. I would feel it's a little bit easier on the floor, but again, online, I'm working with people in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Toronto, Vancouver. So for them to be able to work with me online, it's easy that way. But yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah. Let's see now. So your official title in terms of your degree is
strength coach. So
strength coach.
I worked, yeah. So if you had to go into it, it'd be strength coach, and you could say mobility specialist, but I usually leave that part out because I'm mainly focused on strength coaching work. It was with Eleiko. So Eleiko are the guys that do like the powerlifting meets and like the powerlifting plates. The good thing about Toronto was when you're working with Good Life Fitness, they give you an opportunity to do all these courses, and they will pay for half of it. So you pay the full amount, could be like $1,000, for example, to do a course, and they will reimburse you after you do the course, half of it. So that's what I loved. So if I wanted to do those courses, I might have to go to college here. I might have to go to Carlow. I might have to go up north to Queens or whatever. But whenever I'm in Toronto, I'm able to do those same courses in Toronto. There's also the NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association. Now, a lot of the top guys in the strength and conditioning industry would have CSCS by their side. That's Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist, and I done that with the NSCA as well, and I done the personal training with them as well. But it's a lot easier to do those things in Toronto. I haven't done any courses since I come home. Obviously, I can't with the situation right now.
Yeah,
I actually started more courses in terms of coaching teams. That's as far as I got here, but I do have a lot of goals to get more qualifications, definitely.
Yeah, because that was my next question. Do you plan on like furthering your studies? I suppose you could say, like, would you go back to college?
I don't think I need to go back to college. yeah, I don't think I need to. If I had to go back to college, I wouldn't even know how you would start that process. Would you have to go through the? I mean, I didn't get the best leaving cert. I got 190 points in the leaving cert.
Okay.
That just shows you that you can have a terrible leaving cert and you can start from the bottom and work your way up with it within any industry. So I started from the bottom. I did a part-time course in DKIT Dundalk, which was personal training, and I never used that degree, to be honest. It was just a starting point for knowledge.
Yeah.
And eventually, I wouldn't go back to college. If I could do as many qualifications here, whenever the lockdown eases off, maybe 2021, or I always have the opportunity to go back to Toronto on another visa if I want to, but I haven't really thought of that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think now. I'm just going to look here. There's a few more questions here, but we've kind of half covered some of them. Actually, funny you're saying that about the YouTube. You're saying how the reward just isn't in it, and it is hard to get like views on it.
Yeah.
And that's why I start on Spotify. I think it's just easier because you can turn off the phone and it still be going in the background. Like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of editing and everything to do with YouTube as well.
I mean, I did enjoy it, but then you reach a stage where you feel guilty if you haven't posted in a week. You feel as if you're just doing it to bang out any video. There's no real quality in it. I mean, like, what's the best case scenario? You put out I think one of my best videos got 15,000 or something views.
Yeah.
I mean, what the F does that mean? 15,000 people watched it. Cool. I didn't make 15,000 euro out of it. I mean,
yeah.
It might be another way of interacting with your followers, but I mean, maybe it's just my age now. I'm 27, so back then it was all for fun. Same with TikTok has came along now, and TikTok is going to be massive. End of story. I haven't posted on it, and I have no idea what way I'm going to tackle this platform, because I don't want to start half-arsed doing some posts and then I don't know how I'm going to tackle it. I don't know if I will.
It's a funny one though.
It's a strange one, but it will be massive. Yeah. I think it's gonna. I don't know. It's just a mystery how it's gonna go, but people will start using it. And for someone like me, I should probably try and stay ahead of the curve. But for me now, it's about expanding my business, and I don't know how TikTok's gonna help me do that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people now that are saying like TikTok is kind of a thing that there's a lot of teenagers are on it, a lot of children are on it, and this fella saying, "Oh, I'm not going near that. Jesus Christ, that child stuff." But it will, as you said, it will take over. In terms of views and that, it's good. It might be good. It's kind of, I don't know, boost your confidence when you see so many people have seen this video, but they're just swiping through it. I put up a video, a short clip of my podcast with Matty Donnelly, and it's on 340,000 views. But that does, it's great to see it on the screen. That many people have seen it, but at the same time, the amount of books commented on it from America saying, "That's not, what sport is that?" Fellas in England saying, "You're not supposed to do that with the ball," all this sort of stuff. Yeah, as you said though, it will take over in some way, because even I've been using the app now for maybe a month, and there's ads starting to come into it now and stuff like that. So money will be generated from it, definitely. Yeah,
I mean, Instagram was the same when it started off. It was just pictures, and people are like, why am I going to go on that? I mean, what am I going to do? And then stories came. You're like, why are they copying Snapchat? And it's just going to be the exact same with TikTok. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, I'm slowly more on it. I might have been on it maybe once a week, but now I'm starting maybe a couple of times a week, and then it'll be a couple of times a day, and then you can find yourself an hour goes by in the morning and you're scrolling.
I swear to God, you can be flicking away. Anything can come up and you still watch it.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. Interesting.
We'll just talk, before we wrap it up, we'll just talk a small bit about football. Just a few questions, a few quick fire questions that I've been doing the last few weeks, and they're all kind of similar format. So the first question, as a player, and I suppose you could say as a coach as well, who was your biggest? I'll break the question up into two. Who would have been your biggest influence as playing football growing up, and as a coach as well?
Okay, so growing up, I mean, I'm going to have, so from the years 2000 and between my second year in college right up until the end, Usher McConville was my senior manager.
Okay.
And we've got a great friendship now. We talk all the time, and he instilled, belief. He instilled confidence. He taught me some things, especially from a forward stance. Now I'm no superstar, but just from I'd say every player that working with him learned a bit. So he was someone that stood out. Also, in time in Toronto, I had a great coach in a guy from Tyrone, from Clonagale, Ulton Blee. He was a real character. He also instilled confidence, how to not take a risk. I mean, when shooting, different things like that. There are two people that crossed my mind. And then you would talk about the likes of Matt McLean that came over Scotstown in 2013 that instilled discipline, something that I was not good at, but it sticks to me now as I get older. And as a coach, there wouldn't really be anybody hugely in the GA field that I would look up to. I would look up to a lot of American sport coaches, likes of Michael Boyle. Charles Poliquin was the best strength coach of all time. He sadly passed away last year, and he coached the most amount of Olympic gold medal winners, especially in wrestling and a lot of physical sports. So they're the top two guys I would think of. I do keep in close contact with Colin Nally of Meath. He's a fantastic coach. More of a coach in terms of managing a team with ball skills. And that's the thing as well. There's a huge difference in coaching guys in the weights room and coaching guys on the pitch in terms of skills. When I get questions how to push off your marker, how to win the ball, I don't know those answers for fact. They're just personal opinion. So there is a huge difference in being a strength coach in the gym and a coach on the pitch. But they're the guys that I would look up to.
And you touched on it there. You're saying the coach in Toronto was good character. Who would be? Don't pick one. You can pick a few. Like, I'm sure you've met some great characters in the GA. Like, who would be the real joker of any team that you would have been on?
So after Scotstown, I was living in Dundalk for 7 years, and I decided to play with the Dundalk Eels for a year. And we got to the championship semi-final, and the following year, the championship final. And those lads were characters on top of characters, those lads from Dundalk Town. So they're the Dundalk team right in the middle of the Dundalk Town. So many different characters from those guys. In Toronto, St. Mike's are predominantly a lot of guys from Tyrone. The president of Canada GAA is a Tyrone man. He's also a St. Mike's man, Sean Hart. The manager was a Tyrone man. A lot of the players were from Tyrone characters. Boys from Carrickmore. So I'm trying to think of, but like even boys from Clare, Galway, just so different because I'm always surrounded by lads from Monaghan. These boys from Clare and Galway, Kerry, Cork, everyone's different, and it's crazy to think how people can have different personalities from different counties, especially when Ireland's so small. But that's why Ireland's so great, and everybody in the Toronto team, they were all just different, and the crack we used to have out nights out. And it would go long on. Toronto would finish up nightlife at 2 a.m. Right. And for us in Ireland, that's an hour early. So whenever it's 2 a.m., we were not going home, and there would be after hours, and you would go to an after hour club that wouldn't shut until the next morning. And it was characters. It was just such a great team building. And the seasons are very short in Toronto because of the weather. So mean, you're going out with these lads 7-8 months the whole time, and then you're going out with them for barbecues during the summer. You're with these lads every day. So some great characters in Toronto. I have to say that Toronto really brought the best out of different characters, but the Dog Boys were pretty nuts as well.
Yeah, you got to meet some great people, I'm sure, as you said, from different counties. And like the Irish lads, whatever it is, it could be from from Bisenhead to Malonhead, and you just band together straight away. Like,
no, that's why I would recommend anybody. Let's same as college. You go to college and it's a whole new experience. There's lads from Cork, lads from Monaghan. There's just lads from Louth, and it's crazy to think that everybody has got a little different type of personality from where they're from. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
100%.
And the Canadians are not saints either. They're pretty crazy too.
I can imagine so.
Yeah.
I think we're going to wrap it up there, Shane. Just before we go, I want to say that there's a new part of the podcast starting up in the next couple of weeks. So I've got a few different people. I might do we're going to do one-off podcasts with people from different walks of life, I suppose. Might get a few musicians on, a few comedians that on as well. There's a segment we're going to start up now. Some of you might have seen it on the Instagram story yesterday. It's going to be about half an hour max, 3 slots of 7 minutes. I'm going to have a hat or a book in front of me or something. I'll pick a topic out. We've got 7 minutes to talk about the topic, and it can be literally anything. So send in topics, send in suggestions for people on Instagram. I've got a few guys to ring today about it, so that should be up and running in the next 2 weeks. My thanks to Shane Rice as well, Rice Lifestyle. Shane, thanks a million for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed it. I got something out of it.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks for having me on, and I hope you enjoyed listening.
No problem. Thanks a million, guys. And that's us.